Victoria was 24 years old. She lived in London alone. She had long golden hair. Her eyes were bright green. She was a smart girl. She studied business at university. She worked very hard always. She wanted a good job. One morning she saw it. A job at Sterling Group. Sterling Group was very famous. It was the biggest company in all of London City. Victoria read the job post. Personal assistant to the CEO. Her heart beat very fast. She wrote her best letter. She sent it that morning. 3 days later they called. You have an interview tomorrow. Victoria could not believe it. She prepared all that night. She chose her best clothes. She practiced her answers well. The next morning she went. The office was very tall. 30 floors of glass windows. Victoria walked through the doors. Her hands were a little cold. Her heart was beating fast. She did not know yet. Her whole life would change. Inside that tall glass building, she would meet one man. And nothing would be same. His name was Alexander Sterling. He was 32 years old. He was very tall man. He had dark brown hair. His eyes were deep blue. He was the CEO there. His father built Sterling Group. But Alexander made it bigger. He worked from 6 in morning. He worked until 10 at night. He wore perfect dark suits always. He spoke in a low voice. But everyone listened when he spoke. He was serious and very focused. He never laughed in the office. He never smiled at anyone there. The employees were afraid of him. They called him the Ice King. Behind his back, of course. No one said it aloud. Alexander had one big problem. He could not keep assistants long. In 1 year he had 6. All of them left very fast. He was too hard to work for. Too cold. Too demanding. Too serious. Now he needed a new one. His manager sent him 3 names. Alexander looked at the files. He called only one name. Send in Victoria, please, he said. The door of his office opened. And Victoria walked inside slowly. Alexander looked up from his desk. His blue eyes met her green ones. Something happened in that 1 second. Something he did not expect at all. But his face showed nothing outside. He looked back down at his papers. Sit down, he said quietly. Victoria sat down in the chair. She looked at Alexander's cold face. He was reading her file carefully. He did not look up again. The room was very quiet. Victoria sat straight and waited. Finally Alexander looked up at her. Why do you want this job? Victoria took a small breath. Because I work very hard. I learn fast and I care. I will not let you down. Alexander looked at her green eyes. She did not look away from him. Most people looked away from him. But Victoria looked right at him. He looked back at his papers. You start on Monday, he said. Victoria felt happiness fill her chest. Thank you, Mr. Sterling, she said. He did not look up again. Monday came very fast for Victoria. She arrived at the office early. She was there before everyone else. Even before Alexander arrived that morning. When he walked in he saw her. She was already working at her desk. Her head was down, very focused. Alexander said nothing, but he noticed. He went into his big office. He sat down at his desk. He looked at his door. Through the glass he could see her. She was working very fast and well. He looked at her for 1 moment. Then he looked back at his work. But he looked again 2 minutes later. He did not understand why he did that. He told himself it was nothing. It was just nothing at all. Weeks passed at Sterling Group quickly. Victoria worked harder than anyone there. She came first and left last. She learned everything about the company. She remembered every small detail always. She answered every email very fast. She organized Alexander's whole busy day. She made his coffee just right. 2 sugars and a little milk. She knew this after day 2. He never told her about the coffee. She just noticed and she remembered. Alexander started to notice her work. Not just notice. He was impressed. She was better than all the others. She was calm when things went wrong. She solved problems before he saw them. One evening they worked very late. Everyone else had gone home already. Only Victoria and Alexander were there. They were preparing a big presentation for a very important meeting next morning. Victoria found a big mistake in the data. "Mr. Sterling," she said carefully, "there is a mistake on page 9. Alexander looked at the page quickly. She was right. A big mistake. If they had not found it, the meeting would have gone badly. Very badly. He knew this well. Alexander looked at Victoria slowly. "Good work," he said quietly. Just 2 small words from him. But Victoria felt very proud inside. They worked together until midnight that night, side by side at the big table. Sometimes their hands were very close. Once their fingers almost touched. Victoria felt her face go warm. She looked at her papers fast. 1 month became 2 months fast. 2 months became 3 months too. Victoria and Alexander worked every day together. Every morning, every evening, sometimes weekends. Alexander began to change very slowly. Not in a way people could see. Only Victoria noticed the small things. He said good morning now sometimes. He asked if she had eaten lunch. Once he brought her a coffee, without her asking for it at all. He just put it on her desk. He walked away without saying anything. Victoria looked at the coffee cup. She smiled a very small smile. One rainy Tuesday evening something happened. Victoria was leaving the office late. She waited for the lift to come. Alexander came out of his office. He also was leaving that night. They stood together waiting for the lift. The lift was taking a long time. The hallway was very quiet and empty. "Do you live far from here?" he asked. Victoria looked at him with surprise. He had never asked that before. "About 40 minutes by the tube," she said. "It is raining very hard tonight," he said. "I know," said Victoria. "I have my umbrella." The lift doors opened in front of them. They both walked inside together. The lift was very small inside. They stood close to each other. Alexander looked straight at the door. Victoria also looked at the door. But she could feel him beside her. She could smell his warm cologne. Her heart was beating very fast now. The lift reached the ground floor. The doors opened and cold air came in. "Good night, Victoria," Alexander said quietly. "Good night, Mr. Sterling," she replied softly. He walked to his black car. She walked to the tube station. In the rain, with her umbrella, she could not stop thinking about him. All the way home on the tube, she told herself it was nothing. He was her boss. Only that. Nothing more. Nothing more. Nothing more. The next morning Alexander came in early. Earlier than his usual time even. Victoria was already at her desk. She looked up when he walked in. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," she said warmly. He stopped at her desk for a moment. "Good morning, Victoria," he said back. Then he walked into his office. He sat down at his big desk. He opened his laptop to start work. But he did not start work. He looked at his screen without seeing it. He was thinking about last night. About the lift. About standing close to her. About the way she smelled like flowers. About her green eyes in the lift light. Alexander had not thought about a woman. Not like this. Not in many years. He had only thought about his work. Work was safe. Work made sense. Feelings did not make sense to him. He stood up and walked to his window. He looked down at the London streets below. People were walking fast in the morning cold. He could see the whole city from there. He had everything a man could want. Money, power, a big beautiful office. But his flat was cold and empty. He ate dinner alone every single night. He woke up alone every single morning. He had built a big wall around himself. After his heart was broken 5 years ago, he had decided love was not for him. Work was enough. Work was everything. He told himself this every single day. Then Victoria knocked on his office door. "Your 9 o'clock meeting is ready." He turned around and looked at her. She stood in the doorway with her notebook. Her green eyes were calm and clear. "Thank you," he said. "I will come now." She nodded and walked back to her desk. Alexander watched her walk away from him. He felt something pull inside his chest. Something he had not felt in years. He did not like that feeling at all. But he could not make it stop. Everything changed. Sterling Group had a big dinner event. It was for all the top clients. A very grand and expensive evening. At a beautiful hotel in the city. Victoria helped plan every small detail. The flowers, the food, the music, everything. On the night she wore a red dress. It was long and soft and simple. Her golden hair was down and loose. She arrived at the hotel early as always. She was checking everything was in place. Alexander arrived at the hotel at 8. He walked through the big gold doors. He looked across the beautiful crowded room. And he saw Victoria standing by the window. The lights of the city shone behind her. She was talking to one of the clients. She was smiling her warm and real smile. Alexander stopped walking for one moment. He just stood there and looked at her. He had seen her every day for months. But tonight she looked completely different. Tonight she did not look like his assistant. She looked like the most beautiful woman. In the whole room. In the whole world. Alexander felt his chest become very tight. He made himself walk forward into the room. He greeted his clients and shook their hands. He talked about business and numbers and plans. But his eyes kept going back to Victoria. Every few minutes. Without meaning to at all. Later in the evening Victoria came to him. "Everything is going very well tonight," she said. "Yes," said Alexander. "You did well tonight. Thank you, Mr. Sterling," she said warmly. She started to walk away from him. "Victoria," he said. His voice was low. She turned and looked at him quietly. "Would you like to dance?" he asked. Victoria felt her whole body go still. She looked at his deep blue eyes. He was looking at her very seriously. As if this was the most important question he had ever asked in his whole life. "Yes," she said. Very quietly. Very softly. He held out his hand to her. She put her hand in his hand. His hand was warm around hers. They walked together to the dance floor. He put one hand on her waist. She put her hand on his shoulder. They began to move slowly to the music. The room moved around them like a dream. Victoria could feel his hand on her waist. Warm and gentle and very real. She looked up at his face. He was looking down at her. His blue eyes were soft tonight. Not cold. Not hard. Just soft. Just open. Just honest. Just real. "I do not usually dance," he said. "I know," said Victoria with a smile. "Then why tonight?" she asked him softly. Alexander looked at her for a long moment. "Because of you," he said quietly. 3 small words. Simple and true. Victoria felt tears come to her eyes. Good tears. Warm tears. Happy tears. The music played softly around them. The city lights shone through the windows. And Alexander held her a little closer. Victoria did not move away from him. She stayed. She stayed right there. In his arms. Where she belonged. After the dinner they walked outside together. The London night was cold and beautiful. The streets were quiet and softly lit. They walked slowly along the River Thames. Neither of them wanted the night to end. Alexander spoke first in a quiet voice. "I have never felt this before. Not like this. Not with anyone." Victoria listened without saying a word. "I know you are my assistant," he said. "I know this is not simple at all. But I cannot pretend any more now. Every morning I come to work early. Because I want to see you first. Every evening I stay at work late. Because I do not want to leave you. You have changed something inside me, Victoria. Something I thought was gone forever." Victoria stopped walking on the river path. She turned and looked at Alexander's face. His blue eyes were open and honest. No wall, no ice, no coldness now. Just a man, a real and honest man, standing in the London night for her. "I feel it too," she said softly. "I have felt it for a long time. But you were my boss," she said. "And I was afraid," she told him. Alexander took both of her hands gently. He held them warm in his hands. "Do not be afraid," he said quietly. "I am just a man," he said. "A man who is falling for you. Victoria looked at this man before her. The man everyone called the Ice King. Who was not ice at all inside. Who was warm and deep and real. She smiled her most beautiful true smile. Then fall, she said. I will catch you. Alexander looked at her for one moment. Then he smiled. A real true smile. The first real smile she had ever seen. On his face. And it was beautiful. He pulled her gently close to him. She did not move away at all. She stayed. Right there in his arms. Beside the quiet and dark River Thames. Under the soft and golden London lights. Victoria had come to work for him. But she stayed because he needed her. And she needed him just the same. Some people come into your life quietly. Through a job. Through a glass office. Through a cup of coffee on your desk. And they change everything. For always. Forever.